In this video, we want to demonstrate Lab 3. Lab 3 essentially is going to be a little tiny game. The game is called the game of anticipation. Basically, the goal of the game is that the computer will randomly turn a light on, and a user is going to respond to that light being turned on by pressing a button. Two players will play against each other, and whoever has the fastest response time after the light's been turned on multiple times will be declared the winner by the game. So we're going to be implementing this on the Raspberry Pi, and the functionality is going to be demonstrated here by actually running an implementation of the program. So let's bring on our screen here, and we see in the upper corner here the board, and we're seeing that right now nothing is going on. I'm going to start the game playing here, and we will see that the two red lights came on. And now that the red lights are on, basically the game is waiting for a random time. The green lights come on, and then the user will press the buttons, indicating that they have responded to the change in stimulus. Now, typically this will be two players. I'm kind of doing this both myself. Notice that these red and green lights are just randomly going back and forth between the two players at a random time. This will repeat until each player has pressed their button 10 times, or we've cycled through the light turning on 10 times for each one of the two players. And I think we got one more cycle here. Yeah, maybe one more time. There we go. So the game finished up, and what we see is that the total delay of player 1 was 14,336 milliseconds. Player 2 was 15,237 milliseconds. Player 1, you've won. So that's the concept of what we want to build with this particular game, to have that type of functionality and to give these kind of results out to the user. So how do we do this? Well, what we're going to be doing is working here with essentially, get this turned on here, a class called a game player. Now this game player is going to have control over a red light, a green light, and is going to have an input coming from a button. So the block diagram for this class, essentially, if we think about it, our input here is our push button like so, and our outputs here are going to be the red, I can't write here, the red light and the green light. There's going to be two instances of this game player, one for player 1, one for player 2, for example. And this game player is going to actually basically play the whole game. This GPIO class that's over here, this is what you've worked with before in previous weeks and what has been discussed in class. Your main logic is essentially going to set up the threads that are inside of these games playing, running the run code right here. Once both of those have been started up, then what main's going to do is essentially block, waiting for both of the threads to terminate. So it's going to do a join operation on both the threads. When the join operation is completed, then what it will do is get this elapsed time here and determine the winner, at which point the game is done with. So that is the goal of this lab, is to exercise this and write this code in C and C++. That's going to bring this demonstration to a conclusion.